This is part 9, doing interviews with Robert C. Davis. He's a lifelong resident of East Palestine, Ohio. He was born in 1919. Hey Bob, why don't you tell us a little bit about how this golf course, when you bought this house down here, and was it all woods?
Yep,
You cleared all this off?
yep. Uh,
Did you know that you were making a golf course?
well, when I moved down here, I saw all that space down there behind the barn.
Uh-huh.
And being a golf nut, behind the barn, I was going to put a tee there. And down over the hill, I was going to put a green. And that's all I had in mind,
Oh, okay.
just for my own joy. you
Right,
know.
right.
Well, I went down in there and it was all soggy and everything. There was apparently the creek had overflowed several times long before I got down here, and all that bottom down in there that you can see was Tarzan could have made a picture down there. There was tall trees and grapevines like you wouldn't even think about in this part of the country.
How long would it take to clear out? A lot?
Well,
Year?
while I was doing that,
Okay.
the city came down to see me, somebody from the mayor's office or council, and they said they had to buy an acre of ground from me. Now, after I'd done all that work, I drained that, went down there and made a trench and went up on the hill and got slabs of stone. And old Bill Hughes that lived out on South Market Street, he was the one that took care of the disposal plant down there. And he come over and in his spare time he would help me lay up that drain down through there to run all the water back down into
Coming
the creek
off that hillside, huh?
instead of backing up. So we did that. And I in my spare time, it wasn't anything that had to be done today or tomorrow or
Right.
even next year.
Right.
We worked at it. And then on the weekends, when I was home, I'd hire my brother George to come down and help me. I don't know how many times we got the tractor stuck down there, and I'd have to get Britain's record to come down and pull me out. Well, we were making progress. Then the city comes to me and says they got to buy an acre of ground too, because the EPA said that they got to build 2 more tanks down there. Now those tanks are big and they're 18 feet deep. So, old Mr. Hughes told me, he says, Bob, he says that turnaround down there and one part of that building, that brick building down there is on your property. And Reese's never cared about that back in there. So they came, some member of council was talking, says, give him $250, he'll probably take it, because it was nothing but swampland down there. That's what they thought. Well, I hired a guy to go over to Lisbon and check it out for me. He charged me $25. So he went over to Lisbon and checked it out. And he come back and told me exactly what the old man had told me. And he had proof of it right there. And I paid the guy, and I took, Bob Harding was mayor at that time. So I took it up and showed it to Bob, and Harding says, oh, he said, that can't be. That just can't be. I said, well,
Should be what? Worth more though, right?
Huh?
Worth more?
No, he thought that the guy went over there to check it out for me, made a mistake.
Okay.
So he hired somebody to go over and check it out, and they come back with the same thing. So instead of getting $250, I got $2,500 for it.
Because
No.
part of the building was on our property.
The guy that was coming in to do the work,
Okay.
he came to me and he says, "Mr. Davis," he said, "if you'll let me store some dirt over on your property," he says, "when I leave here, all of that end you'll be able to mow with a lawnmower." And I said, "Could you give me an idea how long it would take?" And he said, "Maybe 6 to 8 months." I said, "Okay, you got a deal." Now, when you dig down 18 feet, and there was so much water that they had 2 pumps pumping water out of there 24 hours a day, a 6-inch pump and a 4-inch pump, pumping that water out to lower the water table so that they could build those tanks, and those pumps run until they got those tanks built.
Hmm.
And then he was true to his word. He hired a landscaper to come in after all of the dirt was hauled out somewhere that they didn't need. And he was true to his word. I was able to mow that back there with a lawnmower. Now he had a big D12 bulldozer. And when he was ready to pull out, I asked him, I said, "What would you charge me to clean out this whole bottom here with that bulldozer and an operator?" He said, "Well," he looked it over and he said, "that would probably cost you about $750.
You liked that number, didn't you?
I did.
That's a lot of bulldozers.
Well, it was a lot of money
A lot
too
of trees.
at that time.
Right.
But I told him to go ahead and clean it out. I told him what trees I wanted left, and he said, "Well, you go out and tie some kind of a white string or whatever around the trees that you want left there."
Okay.
I should have told him to take them all out at one time, because there were elm trees. They were beautiful trees, but
Then they fall on the ground, right?
they got this elm disease, and in time they all died.
Oh.
Then I had to dig them out. But we got them out, and then I got a great big piece of decal paper and looked at it, and I'll put a green here and a green there and a green over there. And finally I had to buy the back ends of these 2 lots here so I could put another green up here, which made 9.
So you kind of, in a roundabout way, you sort of got a free golf course, didn't you? Because
Well,
didn't they paid you $2,500 for the city?
yeah, yeah.
So then you turn right around and take $750 of that,
That,
and then say, all right, clean out all them trees there for
Yep.
me. So you kind of, in a roundabout way, you lucked out by owning that land.
well,
You got a
one washes the other, you know.
free golf course in a
Yeah.
roundabout way.
But I spent a lot of extra money because of I had to hire another guy to come in and start up at this end and work that way, because this was high and that down there was a little bit
Yeah.
lower. And back this way from the creek, in order to channel that water, any surface water, into the creek, he had to come back this way, and he put big dug a big trench there and put a little big tile like this. And any surface water that went that way was funneled into that, and that goes into the creek. So I had that from altogether about 20 years.
What was the first year you could play golf out there that was?
September of '66,
It was before I put the apartments in.
1966,
Huh?
1966,
Could be, yeah.
September.
Year I was born,
Yeah.
48 years ago.
And I reserved. I had a good friend that run the East Palestine Country Club, old Flick Van Fossen. And he was an elderly man then. And I reserved that he hit the first golf ball
Oh.
when I opened up the course.
Oh.
And I
okay.
got a picture of him around here somewhere.
Was it hard to get the grass? Because I see when new houses are put in, the grass kind of, I don't know, doesn't take effect for a while. I don't know, it grows funny or doesn't grow.
Well,
Did it take a long time to get it like golf
No.
course type of grass?
no,
No? Is it certain seeds you use?
when you build a house, where you build the house, you take all the topsoil and lay it aside. And then after the house is built, you got a bunch of dirt, you bring the topsoil back over and put it on there and plant your grass. After it's all raked down and all the stones are taken out of it, the same way with that down there.
There's some people I've seen build new houses, and 4 or 5 years later, that grass just isn't coming in like, I don't know, like you
Yeah.
think it should.
Well,
You know, like a nice, like somebody's got a crew cut on their head. You know, just nice grass. Just
well, you gotta prepare the soil. Now, to build the greens, I got plastic paper. I think they were in, 12-foot sheets. You put, after you get everything done, before you seed it, you take all the rough stuff, lay it off to the side. And then you take this plastic and you cover that. Then you get a piece of spouting about this long. And in one end of it, you put a piece of pipe in there like that. And at the edges, you bring the dirt up around there, all the way around, and cover that plastic all the way around here so the wind can't get under it and blow it.
Mm.
Then you get this gas that you put under the plastic
okay.
in that spouting that I was telling you about,
Mm-hmm.
and that kills any insects, and any germs that might be in the soil. You kill all that. You leave that lay for at least a week with the hot sun bearing down on it.
That's how you get that.
And you do
Green
that.
like
You
that.
do that with all your greens, and after that, then you come back and you plant. Those seeds are so doggone small. You know what a grass seed looks like that you plant a regular glass.
Right.
Well, about half the size of that, and that's where you get that nice, fine grass that you can. That's what becomes your greens that you put on.
Hmm.
And you do that with. That has to lay for a week.
That's a heck of a process, ain't it? I mean,
Yeah.
that's a
Well, you
slow
take,
process.
You take one. I took one green at a time. This isn't done like it had to be done in a
right,
month or
right.
two.
Like we're not golfing next week.
That's right. That's right.
So how many holes did you have out here?
I had 9.
9.
9.
I remember sometime before the early '80s there, I was down here golfing.
Yeah. Well, you could.
But I wasn't any good.
We had a
I
we had a bunch of kids down.
I was just a hitting them. I don't know where they was
Yeah.
going. Probably lost more than I come back with.
Every
But what happened to 'em? I mean, you just too much to keep up with,
well,
or just
you know, Fran Figley
Mhm.
wanted to buy this back then. Fran was doing real good, and he had his hands into a lot of things at that time, and he wanted to buy it, but this was in late in the fall, and he went to Florida, and I called him on the phone and asked if he wanted to buy it, and after we had talked about it. But Dick Harriet had the first chance on it because I had sold the house and 1 acre to him. And Dick was running a little bit of trouble down at the business there, and a couple other things came into the process, and I was getting damn sick and tired of it, waiting and not getting any answers.
Oh,
So
okay.
I just let it go.